Did you know the Titanic was as long as 3 football fields put together? That's 882 feet. Imagine that. This ship was not just big, it was a marvel of engineering. Crafted with precision and care, it was considered unsinkable due to its advanced design and safety features. The Titanic was like a luxurious floating city, housing both the rich and poor. It boasted state-of-the-art amenities that made it the envy of all other ships. From grand staircases, sumptuous dining rooms for the wealthy, to cozy quarters for those less fortunate, it was a spectacle to behold. The ship was so well designed and built that it was deemed virtually unsinkable. This was because of its innovative compartment design, which was meant to contain flooding in case the ship's hull was breached. And so, with much fanfare, the Titanic set sail on her maiden voyage from Southampton, England, on April 10, 1912. With over 2,200 people on board, the Titanic was headed to New York City, a voyage that was supposed to take a week. The ship was a microcosm of society, with passengers from all walks of life. The first-class guests were the cream of the crop, including business tycoons, movie stars, and even authors. They enjoyed the finest luxuries, from lavish staterooms to exquisite dining options. The second-class passengers, often professionals or entrepreneurs, enjoyed comfortable accommodations and good food. The third class, or steerage passengers, were mostly immigrants hoping for a fresh start in America. Their quarters were simple, but still superior to those on most other ships. Life on board was bustling. Children ran around playing games, adults engaged in conversations and activities, and everyone marveled at the grandeur of the ship. But the merry atmosphere would soon be shattered. On the night of April 14th, the Titanic hit an iceberg. Despite its reputation as the unsinkable ship, it started taking in water. The iceberg had punctured the hull, and the supposedly watertight compartments were flooding. The ship, it turned out, could float with some compartments flooded, but not as many as were filling with icy seawater that night. Panic and chaos ensued. Lifeboats were launched, but there weren't enough for everyone. Women and children were given priority, leaving many men behind. Crew members worked tirelessly, trying to keep the situation under control, but the damage was too extensive. The Titanic was sinking. The once majestic ship, a symbol of human ingenuity and luxury, was now a scene of desperation and fear. The band continued to play, trying to soothe the frightened passengers, even as the ship tilted dangerously. In less than 3 hours, the Titanic sank into the icy waters of the Atlantic, marking one of the deadliest maritime disasters in history. This ill-fated voyage, which began with so much promise and excitement, ended in a tragedy that still captivates and saddens us today. Out of the 2,200 people on board, only about 700 survived. The Titanic disaster shook the world. In the wake of this catastrophic event, rescue efforts were launched by nearby ships, pulling survivors from the icy waters. The world watched in shock and mourned the loss of over 1,500 lives, many of them children and families. The news of the Titanic sinking spread rapidly across continents, leaving a deep and lasting impact. The aftermath of the disaster led to significant changes in maritime safety regulations. Lifeboat requirements were tightened, iceberg patrol services were established, and it was made obligatory for ships to maintain continuous radio watch. Titanic's sinking also signified a major shift in society's view of progress and technology. It was a wake-up call, a stark reminder that even the most advanced human creations are not invincible against the forces of nature. The Titanic, once a symbol of human achievement, now rests at the bottom of the Atlantic, a tragic reminder of the limits of human arrogance. Now that we've learned about the Titanic's tragic journey, it's time to test your knowledge. So let's dive right into our quiz. First question, can you guess how long the Titanic was? Was it as long as 2 football fields, 3 football fields, or 4? Next up, let's see if you can remember what the Titanic hit that caused it to sink. Was it a giant squid, an iceberg, or a pirate ship? And here's a bit of a tricky one for you. Do you know how many lifeboats the Titanic had? Was it enough for all the passengers? Not enough? Or just the right amount? Final question. Can you tell us the year the Titanic embarked on its ill-fated voyage? Was it in the early 1900s, late 1800s, or the mid-1900s? Well done! You've just learned a lot about one of the most famous ships in history. Remember, history helps us learn from the past to create a better future. Until next time, keep exploring and learning.